My name's Reid Walborn. I am the food hub manager at Grow Eastern Market, which is part of the Eastern Market partnership as a whole. So we operate the big public market in Detroit. We work with farms of all sizes, huge commercial farms all the way to local city side lot farms, and kind of help them grow, help them enter the market and grow their food businesses. We are looking for just farms we can work with any size, big, small, medium, but like the biggest thing is just the consistency of the products. When we are working with chefs and schools, they need to know what they're getting, when they're getting it, what it's going to look like in the sizes. And I think a consistent farm with consistent packaging and a quality product makes it really easy for buyers to know what they're getting and when they're going to get it. For vendors and farms, we need to know what kind of certifications you have is a huge one for us. We have been really pushing people to become GAP certified. But for chefs and schools and our customers, sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't, whether a farm is organic or no-till or things like that. But if a farm is saying they're organic, that means they have that certification. So GAP certification is, GAP stands for Good Agricultural Practices, and it's a USDA certification that just shows not necessarily how you're growing things, but that you are growing things in the proper way so that your product can be traced back, you have good health standards. It's not organic or it's not naturally grown. You can still grow things conventionally or organically and become GAP certified. It's more just being able to trace your products, making sure all your health codes are up to date and that you're doing things in a safe way. You've got to fill out the right paperwork and talk to the right people. So you need to be organized. You know, if one restaurant or organization has a problem with a product, you've got to be able to trace that back to the harvest and where other similar products went out. If it's grown locally, it's going to be better, it's going to taste better. It's employing people around you. And to get that point across, it doesn't always come across on a piece of paper and a price list. So you've got to, be on Instagram and Facebook and make that information available to chefs and to schools and anybody who's buying food. So post pictures and stories and things like that are what really sets a lot of our local food apart from wholesale, huge wholesale distribution.
My name is Clarence Rudat, and I am the manager of the Food Agriculture Research and Manufacturing Accelerator in Muskegon. And I work for the MSU Product Center, which is a division of MSU Extension, and we work with clients across the state, producers, food processors, and equipment manufacturers to accelerate products into the market space throughout Michigan and nationally and in some cases internationally. The big push right now is to grow local and be able to utilize that. So a number of our buyers are looking at that local growing space and it's trying to find that niche. Talk to friends, neighbors, people down the road, or anybody that's been in that position where they are doing that wholesaling. A lot of times they can connect you with that right individual, with that store, or with a distributor to be able to get you set up to be able to utilize that. And then don't be afraid to, reach out to people, and they may say, yeah, that's not a fit for us. But a lot of times it's that networking piece where it may not be a fit for them, but it might be a fit for somebody else, and you can make the connection that way. Institutional level, I think it's really important to try to reach out to those institutions like schools, hospitals, age well services, those types of organizations that use a lot of food. And again, I think it's important when you're making those connections with those individuals that they may not have something then, but they may say, you know, next year or next season, let's plan on doing this. You know, if you're putting something in the ground or you're planting, that's probably when you ought to be talking to an institution or a wholesaler to talk about when that's going to be, you know, available to them, and give them a window to take a look at.
Hi, I'm Sharon Ostrowski from Sharkar Farm. I own a 17-acre vegetable farm out in China, Michigan. We concentrate mostly on vegetables and herbs. We do bedding plants in the spring, and then we go into the fields during the rest of the year. We do 3 farmers markets right now, and we do some partnering with Humana and Grow Easter Market in Detroit. You do have bad times, along with the good times, but there is some challenges. Luckily, Grow Easter Market is at a high end of my wholesale, so that makes it really nice. It makes it so that I can afford to do that. Some of the other ones I used to do schools, but again, they're a challenge because they have a budget that they have to hit, and they need it the most when it's freezing out here. So, you know, it's hard to, you can't justify putting in the hoop houses for that type of thing. They can't afford it.
So I'm Fred Monroe. I'm from Monroe Family Organics. We have about 13 acres in mixed vegetables. We're certified organic. We sell to a few restaurants and co-ops, and then also some stores. Our pricing is probably only slightly different for each customer. It really depends on like the customer's needs as far as amounts, and I'm kind of flexible. What I always tell customers is like, I'm not going to get hung up on that we have to have a certain price on this thing if we can kind of make the total work for us. So I'm not really trying to get a specific price on a certain thing as long as the customer is willing to, you know, kind of support us financially. So if we need to have price increases as we have with inflation here, we can balance those out so that our customer can still, you know, sell things on their side at the price they need to. It's really awkward to have like $2,000 worth of stuff to sell to a customer or customers, and then come in the next week only have like $100. So you want to try to kind of make sure you have a continuous amount of things that you can give customers so you can keep them interested in their farm and be kind of a regular supplier. If you kind of break it up or have like huge highs and huge lows, it's usually not as good. So we were able to get certified organic the first year, and that was because this land was owned by someone who was an certified organic farmer, and it was just pasture. And so it had been pasture for a long time. They put in a drainage tile for us, and so we ran the land from them for a while. But we were able to get certified midway through the season the first year. They came out, kind of just had to work my way through the paperwork. Not all of it's intuitive, so you know, there were things they told me I had to change and stuff, but you just work through it with your certifier and you just go from there. It takes a lot longer the first year as you start working through it, and then you kind of get used to things. But there's like an assumption kind of in the market that we're in that you're going to at least farm like naturally, whatever that means. And we get a lot of specific questions from people, and it's easier to say like we're certified organic. And one of the reasons we are is because when we explained the CSA and when we had to get that off the ground the first year, the last thing I want to do is have to explain the CSA and then have to have a lengthy explanation about our growing practices too, because we weren't certified. And so I really wanted to shorten that marketing pitch and to not have too many things to explain, because once you go past 20 seconds or something, people are kind of glazing over. So things that are really important is like uniformity and always having the right quality. If you vary on those two things, you're going to really run into trouble. There's no way we would have the customer base we do if the quality wasn't top notch. A lot of things are not planted to be like the highest yielding necessarily. They're meant to be like the best variety we can grow flavor wise. Kind of have a base of what I think we should be planting. I don't purchase all of our seed like in the winter. Like I purchase the bulk of it, but I leave some open so that if I see things are selling better or worse, or we need to do more or less of something, I buy more seed later in the year to kind of meet that demand. It's easier to do that with things like spring mix because we're doing so many plantings, and so we can kind of gauge that.